head is just blurry in the front.
Is it blocking?
Oh, no!
Is he in the shot?
Yes, he's in the shot. They're both... Everyone's in the shot but me. We're doing great. Anyways.
Do you think they can hear the dog?
They definitely can hear the dog.
So one of us did this right. And one of us is me.
Yeah, it was like, the right one was me, right?
Yeah, I may have gotten a little too ambitious with this one.
Are you planning on reading a book two books every week?
I may have been too ambitious. Hello everybody and welcome to Mahia Reads. My name's AJ Cerna.
And I'm Kiersten Michele.
And it's time to get ambitious, you know? Talking Alta Vista ambitious. We're talking...
I feel like that reference was too old for me.
98 degrees ambitious. Living the Nick Lachey life. You know what's up. So, oh, okay. My dog just decided to put his paws on my books, so my stack of books. Anyway, oh, Jesus.
Hi.
Over.
Sweetie.
Oh, sit. No. I'm not acknowledging you. Sit.
Today we are going to go through our physical TBRs. It is almost the end of the year. Coming on the end of December in like, what, 6 weeks?
Sure. That sounds right.
No idea.
But yeah, end of the year, and I have a problem. It's certifiable. The problem is I collect too many books. And I've gathered too many books that I just don't read because new books come out. And then I want to read those, and then library loans come in, and I read those, and then something pops up on Audible, and then I read those, and I don't read the books that I actually own. I'm very passionate about this. We've decided, with the exception of next week, to not buy any more books.
Is next week Defiant?
Yes. Because Defiant's coming out, which is the end of the Skyward series. So apart from that, we are not buying more books, and, I guess, we're getting Christmas gifts for other people, or for us, for each other probably. That doesn't count. But
maybe I don't want books for Christmas.
So yeah, we're going to talk about some books that are on our TBR for the rest of the year. These are books that I am going to definitely read before the end of the year. Mm-hmm. Physical books.
I believe in you.
Starting with The Blade itself. I haven't read Joe Abercrombie before. I'm really excited to read Joe Abercrombie. Based on everything I've heard, I will like Joe Abercrombie. I don't like grimdark, but it sounds like... I mean, I don't hate grimdark, but it sounds like his style will be up my alley. I actually don't really know what this is about, other than I think like an assassin or something like that. Probably. And children. Good God. But yeah, that's my first one, The Blade itself. And I'm going to go two at a time.
Yeah, that's fair.
The second one I'm going to read at some point... is Gear Breakers. This is a book that I've actually started and stopped and started and stopped. And no, it does not mean it's bad. I've had several books where I start and stop and start and stop that end up being really good. Most Brandon Sanderson books I usually read 100 pages of and then stop, and then a month or two later I read the 100 pages and then get and actually finally go through it.
We have ADHD.
Yeah. So this is a book that I also kind of read partially for research purposes because I might be writing a mech at some point in the future. And I want to read other mech type books. And this is what this looks to be. It is. Gear Breaker. That is a very exciting one. It's a YA book by, I don't even know the name, Zoe Hana Mikuta. And I've had this for like a year plus and I didn't even know the name. So yeah, this is another book that I've been meaning to read and I'm excited to do. We even have the sequel, so if I love it, I'll hop right into the sequel.
Because he buys the sequels before he reads the first ones.
Last book until you move on, Sword of Kaigen. This is a very, very popular self-published book. It's like fantasy, sci-fi.
He's just sitting in the...
Do you think he's in frame?
The top of his head might be.
We should check. Is it blocking?
Oh, no! Okay, keep talking about Sword of Kaigen.
So the next book I do want to read is Sword of Kaigen. This is a self-published book that is, it's very, very popular, very famous, and it is very inspired by Japanese culture. I'm not sure if it's like fantasy sci-fi. I got about 80 pages into it. There's a theme here, apparently. I got about 80 pages into it before I kind of bounced off of it very hard. I admittedly am having trouble getting into it. But I literally have not heard a single bad thing about this from anybody, so I have to give it another shot and go all the way through.
Been there.
Definitely gonna read Sword of Kaigen.
Is gonna get in the way. So this is The Fall of Ruin and Wrath. This is Jennifer L. And you always say her name better. Armentrout?
Sure.
Jennifer Armentrout?
Yeah. Do I say it better? Armentrout? I assumed that was just the right way to say it.
So I read From Blood and Ash, and I really enjoyed it. I have heard really good things about this book. I have heard that it's
There we go. Freedom.
even better. Oh my god. So I'm excited. I have not bought any of her books before though. So I saw this at Barnes & Noble, and they have the exclusive red version, which I think is way, way more beautiful than the blue one, which is like the normal cover. So I got overexcited. It's the most chaotic video we have ever filmed. I am excited. I feel like this will be a nice quick read, which will help because I have some other books that I think are a bit heavier, and so yeah, I need something light and fun and romantic fantasy.
Oh, are they light? Is From Blood and Ash light?
Not light, but like
Plot heavy?
plot heavy, romance heavy.
Like a
I find
Fourth
those
Wing?
pretty fast. Yes.
The next book I'm going to read is Deathless Beast by Andrew D. Meredith. And I am going to read the back of this one because this is a self-published book, and I always like giving attention to self-published book. This is actually someone we met at Cosign, down in Colorado Springs. I've heard great things about this. I think this was a Spiffbo contender as well.
Oh.
I don't know how far it went through, but far too many blame their own bad luck on Hanan and Ralia Clow. When opportunity knocks, they leap to put their past behind them. In the turmoil of a holy order fraught with lies, frustration, and heresy, the paladin, Jain Brastein, is called to deeper faith. When Katiam wakes up a seemingly ageless... Can I help you?
I just find it funny because I'm like, oh, this is what people sound like when they're reading our book.
An ageless seed pod from a botanist's desk, she cannot guess at the change it will bring. While life stirs within that seed... I'm not sure I like that way it sounds. While the path to deeper faith beckons, while there is coin to be made upon the road, darkness moves, a winged, deathless wrath. All would-be heroes must give their lives, or be made illustration for those who've still come. Wait, oh my God! I am so sorry, Andrew. For those who still to come and try to rise, to fall or rise above their station.
I would like to point out we are both drinking beer right now. We have had about 3 sips of our beers.
Yeah, this is not alcohol related.
It's the end of the month.
Yeah, it's the end of a Monday.
We work full-time jobs.
So that's what I'm gonna read. Next one is Babel. This is another one I read about 50 pages of and then stopped. I swear this is not an indication of a bad book. This is an indication of me being a very intense mood reader. I'm like, I'm not in the mood, and then I stop. I'm not in the mood, and then I stop. And I get back to it eventually. This is eventually Babel. Everyone's talked about how amazing this R.F. Kuang book is. You've talked about how amazing it is. It's very language heavy, right? There's a lot of language.
The magic is through language and translation.
As a fan of language and as a fan of the amazing film Arrival, I have to be all about this book. Babel by R.F. Kuang is one book that I'm definitely wanting to read.
This is another one I don't know a lot about. So this is The Forest Grimm by Catherine Purdy. And this is another one of the Fairy Loot editions that came through. But I am really excited because, and maybe it's just the colors are just screaming Christmas to me, but it's about the Grimm forest and fairy tales, and it just feels like the perfect December Christmassy read. Because I'm not a huge fan of like actual Christmas books usually. So I want, like, this feels Christmassy without
Close
being
enough.
Christmas.
Look there's red and then there's
It's
green.
red and green. Look at how Christmassy this looks in there. The forest and the snow. I'm very excited for this one. But yes, it feels very much, it's going to be like kind of a slightly dark YA fairy tale in the Grimm forest.
Sweet. Looks great. The next one I want is Strange the Dreamer. This was a funny one because this was a book that, well, she loves it.
I'm rereading it right now.
When I went to the bookstore one day, the woman there was just like, oh my God, you gotta get this book. And I don't remember what the prompt was when it made her decide to recommend this one. But it's a book that I never in a million years would have read because that cover is dog shit. It is not great. It feels... No offense to the cover designer. I'm sure you do great work, but this one, I don't know, I get Danielle Steele vibes from it.
It doesn't have, considering how fantastical the book is, I feel like the covers have never quite gotten that across.
Yeah, not a huge fan of it, but I hope I'm a huge fan of the book. And what's this about, Kiersten?
It is about a boy slash man who has always dreamed of going to see this unseen city that no one can remember the name of, this magical city that disappeared hundreds of years ago. And it is about him finally getting to follow that dream, kind of accidentally, kind of intentionally. And it is him going to save the city, but you don't know what he's saving them from. And it is such an interesting fairy tale. There's so much cool magic and just... There are gods, but not gods. Anyways.
Lowercase g.
Lowercase g.
Hopefully you can hear the dog.
Guys,
Do you think they could hear the dog?
they definitely can hear the
Oliver!
dog.
Oliver's choosing violence today.
So, my next book I'm going to hold up is not actually the book I'm reading. So, Defiant, as we mentioned earlier, is coming out
Is
in
the
December?
fourth book
No, it's next week.
next week.
Okay.
It's the fourth book in the Skyward series.
And the last book.
And the last
Or the last major installment, considering there's been short stories.
Yeah,
know
there
if
was
there's
3
another.
novellas.
Anyways, this was, I think, the first Brandon Sanderson book I read.
Yep.
And I freaking love this book. I know some people find the main character annoying because she's a little broken socially and mentally. I love her. I love her deeply. I think I am her. It's my person. Anyways, that's not healthy. I'm very excited. Defiant is coming out, so that is definitely on my physical TBR because we will be buying that next week immediately. Because why not? We have the first 2 in paperback. We'll have the second 2 in hardcover, and we can just live in the chaos.
Living in the chaos, just like The Diviners, which is another book that I want to read. This has been on my TBR for years. You've talked about it. So this one is Evie O'Neill has been exiled from her boring old hometown, shipped off to the bustling streets of New York City, and she's positively ecstatic. It's 1926, and New York is filled with speakeasies, Zieg-filled girls, and rakish pickpockets. The only catch is that she has to live with her Uncle Will and his unhealthy obsession with the occult. Evie worries he'll discover her darkest secret, a supernatural power that has only brought her trouble so far. But when the police call Will to the crime scene of a murder girl branded with a cryptic symbol, Hatsa! That's a branding sound, Evie realizes her gift could help catch a serial killer. As Evie jumps headlong into a dance with a murderer, other stories unfold in the city that never sleeps, and unknown to all, something dark and evil has awakened. So I've been wanting to read this for a while. I love the cover. I love the way it's printed. It's not quite as floppy as you want it to be, but it feels good.
And I've ranted about the entire series many, many times. I started reading that when it came out because I love Lip of Bray from Great and Terrible Beauty. And so he got to listen to me as it was coming out, talking about every new installment, freaking out about it.
Oliver drooled on this.
Oliver! So I'm going to just mention this one briefly because I just talked about it, I think, like 2 videos ago because I just bought it. But I am planning on reading How to Be Eaten by Maria Edelman. I'm actually planning on reading this, like, starting today. I've been carrying it around all day as if I had time to read. I haven't. So, I'm very excited. Once again, it just feels very wintry. It is about fairy tales, but it's a little darker. It's the support group for people who have survived. And yeah, I'm just curious. But it feels wintry, and I'm
Apparently,
it might be summer,
it's
but I
like
don't
literally
know.
you have 2 books with like Little Red Riding Hood on it and a wolf.
You're gonna laugh when you see the next.
There's a reason why I was like not about Cinder originally as well. I'm just like, oh my god, these cliched fairy tale retellings, do not care. But Cinder's really good. The next one I have here is Divinity's Twilight. This is another self-published book. These are some people that we met at one of the Fan X's.
Yeah, it was like, I think that was...
And I got the second one too, but this is another one that I've been meaning to read for a long time. Anyway, 7 centuries ago, the forces of order won the Illyrite War on the plains of Harmuth. Darmatus and Rabban Aurelian slew their elder brother, Sarkon, the despotic architect of the conflict, then sacrificed themselves to banish the cataclysmic vortex opened with his dying breath. The first advent of the Oblivion Well was thwarted, even without their vanquished gods. The 7 races of Rosarian proved themselves capable of safeguarding their world. Or so the story goes. Jobin, shush. The year is now 697. Though war itself remains the same, the weapons with which it is waged have evolved. Airships being powerful cannons ply the skies, bearing powerful cannons, reducing the influence of mages and their spells. Long-range communication has brought far-flung legions of Lozaria closer than ever before. At the center of this technological revolution are three Terran states of Darmatia, Raban, and Sarkonia, who have fought a near-ceaseless campaign of the 700 years in an attempt to best each other. The roots of their enmity lie buried beneath the wasteland of Harmuth, a place all three nations consider best forgotten. However, an ancient power sealed within Harmuth has not forgotten them, and the descendants of those who fought on that field must now take a stand to rectify the mistakes of the past. And yeah, I like the cover. I think it's cool. I'm excited to read it. And our cat turned on the TV while I was talking, so you'll notice a lighting change. Like I said, our animals are choosing violence today.
Since apparently I have a pattern.
Good God, Kiersten.
Well, okay, so Ava Reed just released another book, and we were looking at it, and then I was like, oh yeah, I own one of her books. I still haven't read it. So I was like, I'm gonna put it to the list. And because apparently Red Riding Hood and forests make me think of winter, this felt fitting. So yes, the next book is The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reed.
It's another fairy tale retelling. Oh my God, so original.
So yeah, anyways, shut up.
That's it? Okay.
I'm in a mood, apparently. I'm a mood reader too, and my mood is Red Riding Hood.
Well, my mood is Sunlit Man, which is the fourth project from Brandon Sanderson that was launched the year of Sanderson. As I don't know if you could see, but we have the other three up there. This is another... We have patterns. My pattern is I listened to the first hour or two of this book and bounced off a little bit because I wasn't in the mood. I think I started reading something else instead, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get back to this. I liked it so far. It follows a character who is actually from the Cosmere, another series in the Cosmere, and who I don't even know if you would know them at this point.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, should I wait to read that?
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, it's very much like you hit the ground running. Action is happening. It's really in median res, and you just have to play catch up as it's going. And I think maybe I wasn't in the mood for a lot of just like boom, boom, heavy exposition, boom, boom, heavy exposition. And I was just like, I'm not feeling it yet. I'll read it later, and I'll have a good time, I'm sure. I really like the sprayed edges here.
Yeah, I love the back.
Yeah, the back is really cool too. You got some beautiful art there. And yeah, it's a very Cosmere heavy type book, according to everyone else I've, listened to on this. But it's another big plus for me is that it's the first book of the year of Sanderson and the only book not to have Michael Kramer and Kate Redding reading the book. So, yay. Not that I don't like them. Everyone loves them, but I feel like some of the other stories, there was potential for different voices.
People of color.
Well, yeah. Especially with Yumi, and that wasn't taken. But at least they took the opportunity with this one to go that route. So good for them.
So this is another book that I think I've mentioned before, but it's Foxglove by Adeline Grace. This is the sequel to Belladonna, which I loved. It had Secret Garden vibes and mystery, death as the love interest kind of. I love it. Gothic-y, beautiful. So I'm very excited. This has been on my radar for a while, and I have just not had the time to read a physical book. I was reading The Starling House. I finally finished that. Oh my God. I'll talk about that at some point. I'm excited because this is like the next one that I've been looking forward to a lot. Just feels like my vibe, so I'm very excited to continue reading that series.
Now this is a new one that I just bought. I just bought this, and I'm like, you know what? I think it's time. I think it's time for me to finally read Aragon. This bypassed me altogether. I don't even know. Were we in high school when this came out?
No, we were in middle school.
Were we really? Yeah, we were like in 8th grade when it came out, or 9th grade. And yeah, I was not a dragon lover back when I grew up.
You're not really a dragon lover now.
No, I'm not. I mean, I guess I don't like... How would you describe my taste? Because I'm not really a person who's like, oh, I like this is my thing. I'm going to go do that thing.
You don't fall for tropes and specific elements. You're not a fan of specific elements or tropes. You more are like, if it's a good story and it tells a good story and the characters grow, you like that.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing is, if it's like, I'm not a person like, oh, if there's a dragon in it, like, I just had my sister-in-law tell me that because I didn't really care about dragons, that I didn't deserve to read Fourth Wing. So
You had 2 sister-in-laws telling you that, I think.
no, but specifically one of them said that. So there you go. I'm just like, dragons, they're fine. Whatever. Dragon's a dragon. I'm not a huge fan.
That's one of those things of, like, I'm similar, where I'm like, I don't get excited about seeing a dragon in stuff. But I'm like, I've read a lot of dragon books, loved Fourth Wing. I loved Aragon back in the day. So, Speaking of dragons, and I don't know if this is on both our physical TBRs at this point.
Actually, I'm sitting here trying to pull out, I'm not going to do it. Well, I'll piggyback off yours.
What were you trying to... That was kind of creepy. Anyways, finally, a week into the crazy craze, I got my copy of Iron Flame. I have not started it yet. I, in all honesty, don't know if it's gonna be my next read, which I feel like I might be burned on Bookstagram for saying that. Sorry. There's just other books that have come out before this that I'm really excited for, and I have a feeling this is gonna end on a cliffhanger. I know this is probably gonna stress me out, because I am assuming some real shit's gonna go down. So I'm like, oh, wait till I'm in the mood for this one.
And if you don't know, this is the sequel to Fourth Wing.
Yes, so Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros, if you haven't been on the internet anytime recently.
Or specific parts of the internet, probably.
People are freaking out. Like, literally the first 2 days that this was out, which was last week, every single person on my Bookstagram was just talking about this, and I was just like, I don't even have it yet, but hi!
This is not on my TBR, but the first one is...
You're mostly done.
I'm 75% of the way through exactly, and I stopped.
And where did you stop?
Yeah, I stopped at exactly the sex scene, which happened 75% of the way through, and I just literally hit it. I'm like, oh, okay, they kissed, and I just stopped. And I'm like, yeah, see, it's fine so far.
Clearly does not do romance.
I mean, I don't mind. It's just, it's not that...
know you're not going to be interested. You're just like, oh, they're just going to kiss for a bit, okay.
Oh, they're going to do more than that. But, like, for me, I think what it is not to review Fourth Wing up to this point, but it just feels, it's fun. It's fun. It's breezy. It's good. It's fun to go in there, just have a good time. But it's not really surprising me. It's not breaking new territory or breaking new ground. It's just everything I expect.
Now we're both going to be burned at the Bookstagram.
And nothing new. I'm not a hater of Fourth Wing. It's fine. But, yeah, apparently I stopped at the sex scene. I'll get back to it. Like, literally, this week I'll probably finish it. We'll see. And my next one is one that I'm currently reading right now. I am currently 65 pages in, so I'm probably due to stop it right now for several months and not continue reading. But that's Bookshops and Bone Dust, and it's even kind of more tragic that I'm just reading this now because it came out this past week. But we got it like 3 weeks ago. We found it at our local Barnes & Noble. It was mad early. Like, someone should, be in trouble early, type of early.
You shouldn't have named the fact that it was Barnes & Noble. Unidentified bookstore!
An unidentified bookstore. So this is the prequel to Legends and Lattes. It's another cozy fantasy book. Instead of a cafe, however, she goes into a small town, Viv, the main character, and she is injured and basically has to recuperate. And while keeping herself occupied, she stumbles into a bookstore that is basically ready to file for bankruptcy. Not literally, of course, because bankruptcy is not a concept in here, I'm sure. And it's about, I'm assuming, her helping the bookstore rise in its business over the course of the story. Haven't gotten to that point yet. And it's a total of around 330 or some odd pages. So this will probably be a book that, along with Fourth Wing, if I finish this and that, I might be in pretty good shape to start off this month-long period of reading physical books. So there you go. That is it. That is my last one. That is all that has been written. How many do you think we will be reading this year? I have 11 books in my stack. You're a little ambitious. You have 7.
I have 7. I've read 160 books this year. How many have you read?
I don't have it all tracked properly, and I count the fact that I've read my own book, Spectral, while editing, like 6 times.
Okay, to be fair, I've read The Shadow Weaver.
Well, then count it. I'm not holding you back.
Fine, I've read 165.
There you go. So that's the thing, is that is prohibiting me, but probably closer to 40 or 50-ish books
Yeah.
for the year, and this is an 11. So basically, adding 20 to 25% of the amount for the year. You know what? Maybe if we just throw the TV out, we can go ahead and just read every night and just not even bother.
Okay.
All right, we're throwing the TV out. It's gone.
Does anybody want a free TV?
No, it's not free.
Oh, does anybody want a $7,000 TV?
There you go. Anyway, thank you so much for listening and watching us talk about the books that we want to read. What books are in your pile of shame that you have stacked in the corner, hidden away, so no one can judge you? Let us know in the comments down below. And yeah, we will see you all next week. Adios.